Welcome to another episode of the Color in Cannabis podcast. Today's episode, we're very honored to have Luce and Luna, two of my favorite people, the founders of House of LDLR, a great sex-positive cannabis brand that has lots of amazing products for couples and for single folks to enjoy. And welcome, Luce and Luna.
Thank you.
Thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Super excited to have you guys here. I think I say that every episode, too many supers. But I want to really start with, what does House of LDLR stand for?
House of LDLR stands for House of Luce de la Riva. It's an homage to all my my mother and our experience as an adult brand and our business experience.
All right, excellent. And important note, it's a mother-daughter team.
It's a mother-daughter, and actually it means both of our names.
Okay.
I'm Luz de la Riva, and she's Luna de la Riva.
Excellent.
So we name our house, our business, LDLR.
Excellent. Beautiful, beautiful. Love just actually interacting with the mother and daughter team. I think that's really, really amazing. I think you guys bring a lot of great energy to all the events that I've been out with you guys with, and you guys have lots of really great products as well. Before we get into talking about the products, we can talk a little bit about your background. So I guess, Luce, where are you from?
I'm from El Salvador.
Excellent. And then how long have you been in the States?
In and out for 30 plus years.
Okay.
30, almost 40 years.
Okay. And so normally I just skip to what brought people to the cannabis industry, but you kind of have a longer, more interesting story than that. So I guess what initially brought you to the States, and then kind of how did you make it into the cannabis industry from there?
Well, I came here because I got married.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Yeah. I was in Belize. Mm-hmm. I met my ex-husband there. So that's how I came here.
Okay. And so what were you doing before the cannabis industry?
Before the cannabis industry, I work in the adult industry.
Yeah, I know you talked a little about that. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, almost 30 years ago, I was a single mother with the kids, and I was looking for a place where women would be welcome to work, because I was thinking I never liked to leave the kids. Mm-hmm. I always look for work that I could pick them up from school. And so I saw this ad on Craigslist, and it says a women-owned company, and we foster women. So I thought, this is the perfect place for me. So I got the interview. And, before that, I was working on advertising. Mm-hmm. So I went to my interview, and I'm wearing my little high heels and my little tight skirt. And it's a place in downtown Oakland. It's a big warehouse. I thought that I was going to go to a building, okay, not a warehouse. So I walked to this place, and it's filled with people, guys wearing dresses, which is not, I wasn't scandalized by that, but it was the whole environment was like that. So I didn't get the job.
What was the job for?
To do marketing for the sex toy company.
Okay.
So I didn't get the job. However, I got a call back a month later. And Ann Simmons, the great Ann Simmons, who wrote the Bible of Sex, which is the
Good Vibrations Guide to Sex.
Okay, yeah, I'm familiar with Good Vibrations.
Are you familiar with it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So she called me back, and I asked, why didn't you hire me? And she said, well, we thought that you have too much experience and you were not going to stay. Mm-hmm. But we wanted to know if you would do a contract work for us. And I say, sure. My God, yeah. I need a job, for God's sake. So I started to work in there, and I decided, okay, why don't I develop a wholesale business for you ladies? And I did. And I started putting little kids in hotels. We had sexy kids at the Mercer in New York, the Rivington, in Seattle and LA, we had the Standard.
Actually, Beyonce, she bought her vibrator at Babeland at one of the stores in Soho, and that's what pushed vibrators into the mainstream. There's a huge thing, and it was also like on Sex and the City.
Yeah. Because back then, Babeland was the only place. You know, they were the biggest. They did not have stores here. They had stores in LA and New York and in Seattle, but not here. But they were the largest internet.
Okay. And so what were in these kits that you guys were putting in hotels?
Oh, we had little vibes, little lubes, batteries, little cock ring. Yeah, so that's how I got started.
Okay.
And at that point, there was nothing for women. There were nothing in terms of healthy toys, for example, you know, or any. There was only one type of toys. It was the old hot dog. You know, the old kind of beigey.
Yeah. I have to say, I love how you're like just instant understanding of the original hot dog.
Yes.
Yeah, and so there were young people coming up with ideas and technology, you know, with Jimmy Jane, Juju, and Lelo, and all these companies were coming up with really cool toys. So, but nothing in terms to what to use with the toys. So I saw the little hole there. And I had girls, and I thought, whoa, there's nothing for girls in the market. And my girls are going to have sex whether I like it or not. I mean, you can't do anything about it.
Absolutely.
So I decided, knowing what I know, I thought this would be a crime for me not to do something about it, because I knew what was available there and what were they going to get. And the sad part is it's still happening. So that's how I got started. I started with Babeland. And the whole premise was to create a movement, the sex positive movement, which they were the ones that created.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and they did so much for the LGBT community that is, I don't think it would be the same without Babeland, because they were truly pioneers. So I learned from them.
Okay. And so how did you transition from the adult industry into cannabis?
Well, cannabis has always been around us. So, plus, you know, I've been living here in Oakland for 40 years, for Christ's sake. She's born and raised here, same spot, same place. So, we were victim of the war on drugs, you know, in terms of my sister came here, and we mainly came here because of the war.
In El Salvador? Okay, so you grew up during the revolution in El Salvador.
Yes.
And you came to, okay.
Yes, that's how I was in Belize, because my parents were afraid that I wasn't going to survive.
Absolutely. So
that's how, because I was angry, I got married. Yeah, I did. So, but I digress. So this is the reason why I got into the business, because there wasn't anything healthy for women. And it's very important for me, because I believe that having a healthy sexuality makes you a healthier human being.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and mentally, you are able to be at ease with your body.
Yes.
And I think that's very important when you step out the door.
Indeed, indeed.
Yeah. And so having that issue of my nephew, my sister died. She had a heart attack here and passed away. And my nephew was entering his teenage years. So obviously, you know.
You got involved in cannabis?
I got involved in this is very hard for me.
It's okay. You know, this is people need to hear how we have been affected by the war on drugs, because I don't think that many people know that. And many people might assume that we just don't, you know, that we haven't been affected.
Yeah. So the previous conversation that we had before with you, see, I have other issues that I may not have racial backgrounds that has to do with cannabis, but I did go through.
You were impacted by the war on drugs regardless of that.
Regardless of that, because right after my sister passed away, my nephew started to getting into weed and this and that. My house was shot once, and he went to jail a couple times. The last time he went to jail, I picked him up here at Oakland. And I don't remember, because this is so many years ago. It was in 1990s, something like that. So I picked him up and I drove him to a halfway house. But I didn't know that the next day they took him to, they deported him. Oh, wow. But they deported him to Belize because he just happened to be born there. But there's nobody there.
Family, yeah.
And so I never saw him again.
Oh, wow. That's horrible.
Yeah. So when this came up, when the legalization, so I saw it, not only I could work, I could work on my sexual wellness, not only could bring this message, but also I have that other background, because what happened to my nephew, I decided we're going to do something about it. And I started this group in Richmond because I was disgusted. I was driving through Kennedy High, and my daughter Savannah wanted to go to the bathroom, so I stopped there. And I was flabbergasted to see, oh my God, I come from a third world country. But this is unacceptable. To see these young girls and these boys in this school that is so dirty, and nobody cares. So I asked for the bathroom, and this young lady say, I don't think you want to go there. And I said, why not? We don't go to the bathroom.
Kind of a problem for school. You need bathrooms in school.
Yeah. So, okay. So I came back and I asked, can I put some papers, and I would like to see if I could talk to some kids. And the principal said yes. So I said, if anybody is in gangs, come to the community center and we will have bagels. Yeah, and they started to come in, little by little. At some point, I have 20, and these little fuckers would never kill themselves in the daytime. It always nighttime. That somebody wanted to kill somebody wanted to throw somebody over the bridge. Some craziness that was happening. So, that time, it was during the Crips and the Bloods and Sureños and Norteños. They're just coming in, boatloads from El Salvador. They don't have any, these kids have nowhere to go. They're looking to belong to something. And what do they belong to? The gangs. The gangs. So I started Sangre Latina. And I ended up sending 2 kids to Stanford.
Nice. Amazing.
Yeah. So when I saw that I saw this as an opportunity to speak about both. Speak about sexual wellness and youth and violence.
Excellent. So part of it, I've known you guys as being a very sex positive company. I didn't realize you guys had the connection to educating the youth and working against gangs and trying to get young people into such positive things. That's a really beautiful part of the story.
Oh yeah, we did it.
That's amazing.
Oh yeah. You can still find some articles on the Chronicle. And
Okay. That's
things
awesome.
like that.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, I did it for 5 years, and I quit because I had her, and I needed to feed my kids.
Yeah, I got to focus on the income.
Yeah. But little did I know
Yeah,
what was going to happen here.
Yeah, cannabis is not the space to feed your children right now.
No.
So, Luna, how is it having this much of a dynamic mom? I mean, I know it's the only mom you have, but I mean, obviously, she's not like normal moms, and so this has been much amazing adventure you've been on with her, I imagine.
She is so amazing. You are really
Oh.
the best. It's so amazing to work with her, and yeah, you're really
Thank
an
you.
amazing woman, not just as your daughter, but I can see what other people see in my mother. I did want to add that House, in line with our conversation, that House of LDLR is a deeply social impact company. As you shared, like my mother is deeply dedicated to bettering the lives of others, and even coming from El Salvador, you saw these kids and you saw, wow, this is, like you said, I come from a third world and this is bad. I need to fix this. And you didn't have much, So yes, House of LDLR we are a sexual wellness company, and we are sex positive, and it's a lot of fun and beautiful, colorful products, but it's also rooted in social service and social impact.
Excellent.
And if we are able to open up the conversation about sexuality and even help one couple have a better time, or one woman feel more beautiful, just help one person, eventually we're going to make big change.
Absolutely.
And our vision is that through these products and through our company, we will be able to de-escalate sexual abuse and violence.
Yeah.
Which brings it all together.
And for me, we want to empower women.
Absolutely.
In every way. I worried about our boys. I really do. And I think, and again, this have to do with this. How we raise our boys, how we raise our girls. And that has to do with sexuality.
Absolutely.
I also want to mention that the story about the girl in the bathroom, you said it relates to this, and you said that the girl said, no, you can't go you wouldn't want to go into the bathroom. And the reason for that was because girls were getting raped in the bathroom.
Okay.
And that is just rooted in a very toxic, unhealthy, unrealistic, just completely wrong dynamic between men and women, male and female.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's very important to open this conversation. We must talk about sexuality, boys and girls. If boys get raped just the same way girls get raped, we women, and this is my opinion, as unpopular it might be, but I think we need to take some responsibility to how we're raising our boys.
Absolutely.
Because my boy is going to go and whoop the crap out of your daughter if I don't.
Raise them right.
Yeah, if I don't have a say. And if I leave this to the man to raise my boy, I can't do that. And for that, I got to take some responsibility for that.
Indeed.
So that is very important. And this have to do with that.
Okay.
Because when you are sexually healthy, you are more open to hear your partner. You're more open to have an honest conversation because you are happier. And I believe that extends to your children, to your boss or to your employee, whichever,
We like to say sexuality from the bedroom to the
to
boardroom.
the boardroom.
Because this affects every part of your life. It's central to who you are, and it's not just something you turn on in bed with a lover. Like it's a central core part of who you are, your sexuality.
Exactly. And cannabis opened the channel of communications.
Even since I was very young, I always thought cannabis shows me the truth. And it does. It opens you up to so many things about yourself, so many things about other people. You can do a deep dive.
For me, the most important thing about cannabis is that makes me listen to the other person. You know, if I really want to get in a really nice, soft conversation, I think I'm able to listen a little more and be willing to have a more uninterrupted conversation, allowing the other person to speak. And that's the purpose of our products. It is for couples to relax and to open their channels of communications. So women, we tend to talk more because we want to be heard since the beginning of time.
Oh, listeners and watchers, you should have seen us when we walked in or heard all that.
You know, we want to be heard. So, and men don't want to hear it. They just want to do it. And so we need to slow you down. Mm-hmm. We need to make you talk a little bit, and I need to slow bring my talking down. And so we can start having a nice communication. And during the conversation, we're going to explore our bodies and what feels good to you and to your partner. There are places that you probably haven't traveled.
Absolutely.
You know, most women don't know that that a lot of men has very sensitive nipples. And oh boy, ladies, if you have one of those, trust me. Oh, girl, nutty girl.
I think that there's a perception amongst Latino community that is very conservative from like religious views and all that. But clearly you guys aren't very conservative with the sex products or with the cannabis products. Do you feel like you grew up in a conservative environment, or are your parents liberal about all these things as well?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I went to boarding school with the nuns, so that's us.
Absolutely, very conservative. So was it not until you got to America that, I mean, in terms of just getting into the adult industry as it is, there's so many people who have preconceptions about what that means and feel like this is so taboo to even go into that space. But clearly you were of a more of a liberal mindset to back then choose to do that, especially like as a single mom kind of going into that space. That's shocking to a lot of people. Did you change your opinions about all those things once you got here, or were you already kind of having the liberal ideas about it? Were you comfortable with the idea of the adult industry and working in it, and did you not feel like it was an issue for you?
I never felt like it was a real issue for me. And yeah, we're very conservative, extremely, because believe it, and don't ask me how old I am, okay?
Definitely will not.
Please.
28?
Not quite.
Not yet?
Low.
28 next year?
No, tonight. It's my first night out to the bars.
Excellent. That's what I'm saying. We're going to celebrate your 21st birthday tonight.
Yes.
Let's go.
Indeed. My father was born in 1894. So that's 2 centuries ago, basically. Yeah, so that conservative. However, my mother was a worker.
Yeah.
My mother worked, and she worked outside the house, which that was no back then. She worked outside the house. My father used to tell me that I should never allow a man to touch me, not even with a rose petal.
It's good advice.
Yeah, not
Isn't
even
that
with a rose
beautiful?
petal.
Yeah, it is.
So My mother always worked. My father used to tell me, don't let anybody touch you that way. But he would not tell me in a very graphic way.
Absolutely.
He would tell me that girls were something to be admired and to be tender with and to be this and to be that. But then I learned, too, that he was rough with the boys. He was very rough. You know, I got away with everything, but they did not. So it was kind of strange. And then my mother being such a force, because my mother was a rock. I mean, this woman, by herself, she was a baker. She has so many jobs.
She had a store.
She has a store.
She's an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she was an entrepreneur, for sure.
You
Yeah.
come from a family of strong women. There's multi-generational strong women.
Yeah. My mother, and then when she was born, my father passed away within months. Well, she being here and he's being gone. So my mother came here and helped me with her.
Yeah.
So you grew up in a house full of strong women.
Yes, two very strong women. So when you said, you only have one mother, I was going to say, well, actually, I feel like I had two. And that's when we joke, that's my mom. No, that's my mom, speaking about her mother.
So how did your mom feel about cannabis? Was she okay with it?
Totally.
Okay.
No, my mother was a person that as long as you don't steal, and you don't kill, do whatever you want.
That's how we were. That's how we were conservative. Our family and her family were conservative. It was not like strict religiously like that or judgmental.
No.
You know, it was more conservative. You have manners. You get educated. You don't steal. You know, you have your morals, but not actively against sexuality. I mean, there were other things to be concerned about, or not actively against cannabis because you guys were all thinking about other things. You know.
Do you find that? I know you left early and then you weren't actually raised there, but in general, are people from El Salvador comfortable with cannabis, or are there prohibitions against it just kind of from the religious aspect of it?
Cannabis is first and foremost an ingredient or a plant.
Okay. Yes.
Right. So,
So it was treated as plant medicine in El Salvador as well?
yeah, I think it was
Traditionally?
more a police thing than religious thing. You know, I never really heard anything. We were very peaceful before the war.
Absolutely.
So when people smoke but I started smoking when I was like 14 because I was hiding.
We like to say that El Salvador is before the war, it was a very civilized little place.
It was. You know, it was the first country to abolish slavery.
Or not even just abolish, they never entertained it. There was never
I think it never existed.
slave trade.
I mean, they did have slavery because
Slaves,
they
I'm
were-
sorry.
Yeah.
But let's say imported. Yeah.
So I know this is a bit of a broad question. Do you feel like cannabis was used as plant medicine in general in Central and South America? Or is it just certain countries have a longer history of it? Or is it just considered a plant medicine there amongst a lot of the cultures that are down there? I don't know if you can even answer. That's kind of a broad question.
Yeah. I think I left a bit too young to really understand
How it was approached and all that.
Yeah.
And so since you have been in it now, have you reconnected with any other communities in Central and South America to kind of investigate where they're at with the cannabis in terms of plant medicine, like today?
With some of our Argentinians.
Yeah, I would say we've
France,
spoken to some
Argentines, yeah.
Argentinians about it.
And some in Brazil. How actually somebody from there reached out to us for that.
To create a line of
To create a
sexual
line of
CBD
sexual
products.
CBD
because they're in medical.
Yeah.
Right,
They can
they're
get down there
medical
safely.
right now. In terms of El Salvador, it's a very a touchy situation for me because I lost a lot of my family, my friends. I lost a child. So,
Have you been back since?
yeah, I've been back a couple times, but it's once you go through a situation like through a war and things like that, when you are in the middle of it, it's different.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, Because, look, the first time that I saw a dead person, I was, oh my God. It's so horrific for a young person to see a dead body. But then you get used to it and you just skip it because you got to get to wherever you're going. So it's just bad memories.
That's a lot of trauma to carry with you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Do you feel like that was part of your attraction to cannabis, was kind of like dealing with the stress of that, or alleviating that a little bit? Or is there any connection between them?
No, because that would always be with me, regardless of cannabis. When you go through a traumatic situation, I think you just learn to live with it. But to say that you can't actually forget or remember and don't bother you anymore, I don't know. I just can't.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just can't.
And I don't think people use it to not remember it so much, but I know for some folks that there's a certain amount of pressure that builds up internally because of the memories. And then sometimes for some people, using the cannabis helps relieve the pressure. So it doesn't make the memories go away so much, but it might alleviate some of the internal pressure of it. I know like a lot of the vets with PTSD and folks from other communities dealing with a lot of trauma, some ways they're able to use the plant medicine aspect of cannabis to kind of deal with some of it, but definitely doesn't make it go away. Yeah.
No, it doesn't make it go, but it does help though. It does help because it's just too hard. It's just too hard. But the good thing about going through a situation like I did, that I believe that you are at a point that you could lose your life any minute. And when you see bodies, you start thinking that the dignity of human life is just diminishing and diminishing and diminishing. And you can either turn into a compassionate person or you can go the other way. And I feel bad for people that go the other way because I think the stress is even higher because you become a very cynical person, a person that lives with a lot of pain. So I'm glad that I was able to look at the compassionate side of things, what the fighting was for. And so I was able to deal with that situation. And I tried to understand the political side of it. And I tried to see what a waste and what, and that we need to do something about the world in general. When you see that all these wars, look what we're going through right now. Yeah. It's terrible. And from my space, I cannot be on either side. Because I know the human pain that goes on either side. You lose people on both sides, and there's somebody that loves you on this side, there's somebody that loves you on the other side. So that's my background. It's a very fine background to go into.
It's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful, complicated story.
It's very complicated.
Yeah.
It's also crazy that right now we're having two wars going on at the same time. And remember when the war in Iraq was happening in the early 200s, or 2000s, it's like, that was huge. It was a single war that we all focused on, and the fact that now there's two going on just simultaneously as we're all doing our things. That's crazy.
Yeah, and the other things, there's a lot of
violence
around the world right now. It's been a mess. What so with you, Luna, when did you first get introduced to cannabis? How old were you when you first started interacting with it?
I do have my first memory of cannabis, and I was actually, I don't know if I can say some places because it might get someone in trouble, but it was at a family function where many young kids were there. And of course, my first time seeing weed really was going behind this parking structure with my bad influence bestie.
Yeah.
and she brought over this guy, and they just smoked weed in front of me for the first time, and the smell was like the first thing, and I was like, oh my God, I felt so like, wow, we just did something naughty, like we just did something so bad, so adult. So that was my first, I just have that acute memory of the first time.
How old were you in that memory?
Maybe like 11 or 12.
Okay. Did you try it? You're just standing there hanging out, or did you get a little tiny puff?
I think a little tiny puff.
Caught a little cough.
Yeah, but yeah, it was just like, your first memory of weed. So that was the first time, and then I consumed through high school and college, and then after college, I just dove right into building our business, and that started my now cannabis industry chapter.
Were you open with your mom when you first started smoking, or was there a slight delay between you starting and actually communicating that to her?
Slight delay.
It's just a little slight delay.
Just a very small.
Cookie?
Oh, yes. So everyone has their edible story, but there was this, I had edibles at school during like this period of school that was like between ski week and the next new semester.
What grade?
This was my senior year.
Okay, so intentionally you brought cookies to school. It wasn't like you accidentally brought cookies to school.
Yeah, no, someone brought cookies to school.
Somebody brought cookies to school.
And then me and my girl group, we were like, hee, we're going to do it. And then we ate the cookies, and we were just so lit. Yeah. Like I had to call my sister, my mom, tell her.
And then I saw her, and I said, what did you eat?
We thought they put PCP in these.
And it goes like, nothing. I think there's nothing. And somebody, I think there's something. Please. I've been around the block quite a few times, young lady. You are high as heck.
Yeah, and actually it was...
Go lay down, and then you go,
oh my God, I was laying down, and for some reason I was running up my sister's leg the whole time. Yeah,
Yeah, first edible experience is a lot. It's a lot.
I got to tell you this story. It didn't happen to her, but it happened in my house. I have a friend she's so political. She lives with that political thing. It's just who she is.
She's also she's a cat lady, so stereotypical, all those attributes.
Yeah. Where the election, this is your day, and you're not going to miss this for the world. Okay, and she was going to watch it in my house. So fine, so we're not home, but there's the key, go in. And my son had baked some brownies, but he did put a sign that say, do not eat.
But not why not to eat, just don't eat.
Do not eat, yeah.
Kind of an important distinction.
I totally did not think of that detail, and that would absolutely
oh my God,
add to the situation.
It was the Trump elections.
So it sounded like she needed to chill anyway. She needed that cookie.
Yes.
Might have been the only thing that got her through.
No.
Well, the cookie really did not sit with her well.
No.
And so not only, this could be a long story, but to make it short, essentially it didn't sit with her. She got too high, and she actually
pooped herself.
Wow. Okay, I was not expecting that. I thought she was going to fall asleep or miss the election, but she pooped herself.
She pooped herself.
And she's tripping. Trump is winning. Oh, she threw up.
She threw up. She pooped herself.
Not an unfamiliar reaction to him being announced president. People shitting themselves and throwing up. Yes.
Yeah. Don't blame it on the weed. Honestly,
no, it's just Trump.
It's Trump.
Trump will make you shit yourself. Yes.
She wanted to call the
police
or the
paramedics. Somebody
to come, and she was so sick, but she ate the entire thing to get back at Ian.
Oh, she didn't just eat a cookie; she ate a plate of cookies.
A brownie.
Well, she should have read the sign. It said, "Don't eat." She should have listened. She didn't listen, and now she learns to read the signs.
That was hilarious.
That was hilarious.
So that's another introduction to cannabis, giving you an impression about the power of cannabis.
Yeah.
So what did you study in college?
I studied nonfiction writing and French.
Oh, nice. And so, I was going to actually ask you why you got into cannabis after college, but you studied writing, so that's why you got into cannabis. Yeah, exactly. Not a lot of jobs. No, but sorry, I'm a failed writer, so I appreciate the writing in college and going on and do something else. But so what did attract you to working with your mom in cannabis?
Well, This was an opportunity that was presented to me, and it was just say yes. This sounds really incredible. It was an opportunity that was presented to me, and I have obviously seen my mother work in sexual wellness all throughout as I was growing up, and then later when you started the Luce de la Riva line and made intimate cosmetics. So I've been there every step of the way, and she saw that the cannabis industry was getting legalized. It was becoming mainstream, and as being the visionary that she is, she saw the connection between sexual wellness and cannabis as a business, not just because sex and cannabis go great together, but as a business. And we decided to pivot the line of products that we already had in the adult market and general market into cannabis.
Okay. Yeah. And you know what? This is a way that we can talk, because the adult industry, you can't talk. There's no space to talk. Let's say if your girlfriend, catch you reading a cannabis magazine, you could very well be reading about some
sex and weed.
And she's fine with it. But if she catch you reading an adult magazine, she's going to hit you over the head, even though you may be reading about cannabis. Yeah. But it's that freaking stigma.
Yeah, it's so much more approachable from this angle.
If you're a gentleman who had a cover like High Times, and it was like, get lit like a mother effer on the cover or something, she might not get so mad at that. But if you were reading a sexual wellness, like how to improve your intimate life, that might that might get your partner asking questions, getting more self-conscious, But it's just, first of all, it's just literature. Yeah. Second of all, what if, in cannabis, something might be more explicit, but we have the stage to speak and, it's becoming more mainstream.
Right. And here, cannabis is giving me a platform to speak about sex and sexual wellness and how this affect you. And especially because my thing, and this might be a fact that where I left home so young, nobody told me anything about anything, which is terrible.
Yeah. I was actually going to ask a question about that, but it's not cannabis related, but I was going to ask, where did your sexual awakening happen? Because if you're born into a revolution, you leave that's obviously a lot of trauma. There's not going to be a whole bunch of sex ed there. You travel to Belize, get married, and come up here. I don't know how evolved your husband was when you married him, but I don't know how much of there was a space where you were there, if there was a space for you as a woman to have a sexual awakening or awareness.
Well, first of all, that's why I want to talk, because I wasn't a woman.
Yeah.
Well, 18 years old, you're not a woman.
True.
You're still a child.
Yes.
Let's be straight.
Yeah.
An 18-year-old girl and a 30-year-old man have no business married an 18-year-old girl. It's fine if you go 12 years up after that, but not down.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were mentally.
Yeah, just different
Yeah,
choices.
no, I got married just because I was upset that I wasn't home.
So you're more rebelling against your parents.
Oh, yeah.
And rebelling against having to leave. And
3 days later, it's like, I don't like this thing. I want to be married. And I wonder how many other young people are like that.
Did you have your sexual awakening before being in the adult industry, or was it working in the adult industry that kind of opened up all these things to you?
No, I was pretty. Well, it was the 70s.
Mm-hmm. She's a 70s
girl.
I'm a 70s girl.
Mom, there's a lot of things happening in the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
Very aware, very open.
Apparently the times will never be better than that.
And
I don't think so, because they definitely are not. There's just, we're in a mess now. But yeah.
And believe it or not, fashion did got through the war. That's one thing that, yeah, we knew what was going on in fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why dump the bra?
Well, to answer your question, I feel that you have always been you. My mother's always been my mother. You were a 70s girl. But working at Babeland and seeing that's where you learn the good, the bad, and the ugly of the adult industry and sex and sexual wellness and sexual health and how sex is portrayed.
That, and I think a lot has to do with my mother.
That's the next question. How did your mother feel about you being
My
involved in the adult
mother
industry?
was this woman. She was completely non-judgmental.
Okay, excellent.
Zero. Again, don't steal, don't kill, don't hurt anybody.
Be a good person.
Be a good person. That's it. My mother supported my business to the T, right down to the end. It's about 4 months. She didn't suffer much. I was on my way to the trade show in Vegas, and I was taking the 1 o'clock flight. She was doing dishes, and she fainted. And we don't have a family, so I said I had to cancel my flight. She woke up after a little bit, and then she said, "Well, what are you doing here?" I can't leave. I can't go. You just fainted. And she sat down and she said, "You gotta go, because if you don't play, you will never win. Yeah. You will never win if you don't play." And she said, "You know what? If I'm still alive, you missed your opportunity. If I'm dead, what are you gonna do?"
Very pragmatic. Yeah.
Very.
Go get it. Go get it.
Yeah, go get it. She was my mother was a go-getter.
Did you know your grandmother?
No.
Okay.
I did have a grandmother, but it wasn't my mother's mother. It was her stepmother.
Okay. Is that where she got like her strength? Like, was it just like, did she get it from like her stepmother, or was it just a strong women thing being handed down generation to generation?
I think that's for her. I think my mother got it from her stepmother, and I think I got it from my mother.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yes, and we are coming up with a line of pre-rolls. I think you saw them, the pre-rolls and condoms, which are called Mommy and Papi.
Yes.
Yes, and these are a tribute to them, and proceeds are going to go Papi to the seniors. You know, seniors in need to do their little box, and Mommy from single women in need.
Nice. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, so many other questions to ask. I know we're running out of time a little bit, but I'm very curious about where you'd like to see this go, the brand go. Separate from how much of a mess the actual industry is right now, but where, all things assuming everything is getting better, where do you see this growing into, or how do you see this growing and evolving?
Oh my God, how do you see? I see
Well, we see big things.
We see big. I see big.
Nice.
People say that this our thing is a niche, but it's not. This affects every single person. It's how we all got here. It impacts our daily lives. So it's a pretty big niche.
Pretty big niche. I want this company to grow for many reasons. One, because this definitely is a social impact, because I don't have a family, so all this wealth, I have to give it to someone, no? So, and I am on a quest to speak to men. I want to speak to you. I don't want to speak to women anymore.
What do you want to tell us men?
I want to ask you questions. I want to ask you, what makes you, why do you want to hit me? You know, why? Why do you want to go cheat on me? All those questions, you know, why do you think, why do you treat my son the way you do? And my daughter, I want to know that. I want to know why you do to me the stuff that why is it that we think you're so evil? You know, I want to know that. And I want to know, I want you to tell me, because I'm going to learn from you and you're going to learn from me. And let me tell you, once we have a true communication between the two sexes, I think we're going to get somewhere.
Sounds like you guys need to start a podcast.
Yes. And because I'm horrified to the way the world is sexual, and it is right now. Some people feel so excited because it's open. We have OnlyFans now. We have this, we have that. But what type of sexuality is that? To me, it's like you're swiping people. Who are you talking to? How is this going to make me a better partner? Mm-hmm. Do you think going through seeing all these things is going to make you a better partner? I don't know. I question that.
All of this is kind of having the same impacts on us as porn does. You know how everyone said, it's all about, it kind of morphs your expectations. It just like blurs the line between what's reality and what's real. Like all this content out there is doing the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. Even though it seems more real because it's like people like us, you know, that are the ones filming and things, but it's still like just content that is morphing our perspective on this subject.
Mm-hmm. You know, I'm up. I mean, solo play, great. Mm-hmm. You know, knock yourself out. But there is something very, very embedded into a human being, the need to have the need to love and be loved.
Have a real connection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we all do. You want to be loved. You want to be touched. We
need to be loved and we need to be touched.
Yeah. So through the screen, no matter how close you may feel, but it's still not you. This whole virtual reality, sure, it feels good. Why not? It's been there for a while, you know, that you could turn your vibrator at the same time and the other one will do it at the same time. But you're not with me. And that is not the same relationship. You're not. When you make love with your partner and you're making love with your body, soul, and mind, you'll be a different person to your partner. Because to me, it's logical. You know, it's so logical. So this is what I want. And I think, I may be crazy, but I think we might raise better kids.
Absolutely. Communication only can help. So I know before we actually started recording, as we're asking our pre-questions, we kind of got into some topics that we usually launch with, but we didn't this time. We're going to kind of wrap up with them. So much of this podcast is generally about asking people or finding out from people how their ethnic background has impacted what they're doing in cannabis and impacted their views about the world and where they're working in the world. And I usually kind of open with that question, but you, Luce, have a slightly different response to that than a lot of folks, so we were kind of wanting to kind of save that for the end. And we also know that you both have slightly different experiences in that space, dealing with race and ethnicity and racism and the power structure that we exist in today. So when I was asking you, like, how do you feel that your ethnic background has impacted what you're doing in business, and your response was?
That I didn't feel that it was the biggest thing, because it was a circumstantial situation that I came here. Mm-hmm. So, and I didn't come with any preconceived ideas of anything. Mm-hmm. So for me, right after I got separated from my ex-husband, which was quite quickly, my daughter, Savannah, was still very, very young. Logical situation for me was I had to get to work and go to school. Mm-hmm. That's it.
You couldn't afford to spend the time being worried or being concerned with how is being a Latina affecting this, or how is this impeding my career. No, you have to go
and figure it out.
You have to figure it out.
But I know also what you were talking about was when you were growing up in El Salvador, you weren't exposed to that many other types of people, and so you didn't see all these different races, kind of, and then didn't see a hierarchy based on race, and also you're in the middle of a revolution, so that's kind of a distracting thing.
Yes, exactly. I did not grow up with a hierarchy, and in fact, during the revolution, we recognized and we got to get rid of the hierarchy because the hierarchy is killing us. So that was the mentality. Plus, coming from my mother, as I told you, from my mother was that you need to know how to count. And don't pay attention. Oh, one of the things that my mother taught us since we were little, be a horse.
Be a horse?
Yes.
Okay.
She would say that, be a horse. You just look straight up.
Oh, have the blinders on, just moving forward.
Moving forward, and don't listen to this. And another thing she said, nobody gets killed, nobody goes to jail by keeping their mouth closed.
Just stay out of trouble, keep your mouth stuffed, keep your head down, keep focused.
I thought you were going to say no one dies because of hard work, or no.
Oh, she would say that too.
No, hard work never killed anybody.
And
Cosa Nostra thing.
cannot say the word bore.
No, you can't be bored.
Oh.
Can't be bored. Yeah.
Cannot.
Gotta keep moving, keep working.
Cannot. No.
And so for you, Luna, I mean, you grew up in America, which is very clearly defined, like racial issues going on, and the hierarchy around how you're treated in society is so impacted by race. But you're not hearing that at home. And so I assume at a certain point where you like bring like, this is what I'm hearing at school, and your mom's like, well, this isn't my reality. Or were those two ideas ever in conflict? Like her view of just not seeing that the racial strife so early, and you kind of seeing it on a more day-to-day basis. Was that ever an issue between the two, or were you always able to synthesize her vision of the world and what she was raised with different from what you were experiencing?
My mother never, pass down her view of thinking onto me. And you don't do that about anything, really. I'm able to form my own thoughts and opinions on things, and you're always willing to listen and explore them. I went to École Bilingue, the French school in Berkeley.
Okay.
And the French American school. And it was a very international community. There was not many Latinos actually at the time, but there was Asians, French, Africans, Middle Easterns, Algerians, like there was so many different people from around the world and from all different socioeconomic levels. And so my view on race was always very open, and I wasn't really greatly affected by the actual racial issues going on at the, that happen here in America. That didn't really hit me until after EB, I would say. But also, that's not really the most accurate answer for that. Being in Oakland and being from Oakland, being raised in Oakland, born here, I've always been very like, this is who
Oakland.
This is Oakland. I understand that the Bay Area is a bubble, and it's not like this everywhere. But I've never, that's just my.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing, because I did come with the race thing, because as I mentioned to you, I saw live they're not African American in Belize. But
That's it.
I don't even know how to say it.
Folks, people of African descent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because they just call themselves Felicians. So I never saw a person like that. And you asked me about the movies. Well, we didn't ever have time for the movies.
Yeah, what I was asking about the movies, I was saying even in culture parts of the world where there isn't a lot of different races present, that people often are able to learn about racism or the concept of valuing different races differently through Western cinema, because Western cinema for so long had like the white hat versus the black hat kind of a thing. So they created this binary idea of white versus black or white versus other. And so even folks who don't come from cultures where that was represented, seeing that in movies often kind of educates people from these parts of the world where there isn't as much a racial diversity to experience it firsthand. But you're saying growing up in the Revolution, you weren't sitting around watching a lot of movies. So there wasn't a lot of time to be like watching Blade Runner and making
And
or
you
whatever
think
movie.
people will think about that when there is bullets? I mean, like I grew up that when we get up in the morning, we got to flip the mattress. You know, so put it against any open space, any window, anything, you know, like to protect yourself. So you don't have time for that kind of stuff. So I believe, and this is just me, because my own experience that I lived, that races, it is taught in some way, because I never had that in me. So, like the Belizean from African,
The Belize, the people
African descent.
in Belize.
Belize, everybody was so nice to me. I mean, I got over the fear after the dance that night.
So as soon as you got to Belize, you're around a bunch of different Africans or people of African descent who were very, very nice to you. So your introduction to black culture was from a positive as opposed to a negative.
Sure, my sister, Roy, Roy looked like African American, no? Because my sister, had a little fancy, so can't blame the girl.
Also, can I just say, I just wanted to clear up my comment from before when I was at EB. It's not that I didn't know of racism or had seen it, or just like racial differences or races in general, like until after EB. I think because we're on a podcast, I just got a little nervous and said that. I'm like, I don't mean that at all. It's really about having gone to EB, seeing people from around the world. It was like a global community, an international community. So, and to be honest, I didn't see, white people or some people looking down on, white people looking down on others. I saw it from Asians looking down on others. It was about money,
Okay.
So yeah.
Do either of you feel like, and this is kind of getting deeper into a corner that we don't necessarily have to go down, do you feel like you've ever been discriminated against because of your ethnic background? Do you feel like your ethnic background has created any limits for you existing in America?
I'm sure. For you?
Either of you.
Yes, or someone's perceived notions of what we, like our social economic level. I think that,
Yeah, but that is more a class situation. I'm
It's so
sure.
intertwined,
yeah. Either way, you're judging.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've been discriminated a lot, but I don't know. I didn't pay attention.
And you don't carry it with you. You do what you do. You just move forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's been any, because we each have a unique ethnic background, unique ethnic history. Do you feel like any of that and has impacted your business in a positive way? Like, have you brought things, or is it, I guess that, like, so some folks are able to identify, like, actually, I guess it's not ethnicity. It's like their grandfather was a farmer, so they kind of got that work ethic from them. Or with Ramon, like his father was kind of a revolutionary, so he was kind of taught a lot of revolutionary stuff. Kind of like, okay, always fight against oppression, always that. So it's not necessarily his ethnicity didn't teach him that, because people from different ethnic backgrounds can have that experience. But for him, it really was tied to ethnicity, the idea that we're fighting against a colonial struggle or something like that. So do you feel like, from the revolution, how has it impacted all this?
For me, what has impacted, my father was a big impact. I mean, as I told you before, I was everything for my father, and he was a fine carpenter, and we were from a small village, and when people didn't have any. People die a lot there because we don't have access to a lot of health care. As I said, it's free, but it's not available around the corner like it is here, So he would make the coffins for the people who can buy one or get one. He did this for everybody in the village. But he never went to a funeral. So I got this sense of self duty, because that's what he taught me. I saw duty every time somebody died that didn't have the funds. I saw my father getting up anytime, night. He would get up and start working on it.
You definitely have that, like a no complaints, just
Work. Yeah. And
Don't
work for the
complain.
community as a
Do
whole.
not give anything if you're going to bring it back.
Yeah. That's such an important streak in our family, and just to be selfless.
Yeah, and I think this is what I want. This is what, at the end, I want to bring it a full circle. I want this to have some impact to the people that need it, and that's what we're doing.
And I think you guys definitely have. I've met a lot of people who are very excited about the brand beyond just two powerful Latinas in the space. The idea of sexual awareness, sexual health, and just communicating, and the idea of communicating with your partner and kind of bringing that into it and bringing the cannabis conversation as part of it, because we understand cannabis is part of communication and cannabis is part of sexuality, but really all of it together as one. I think you guys are doing an amazing job. And I still think the biggest is just the mother-daughter team, the idea that different generations working together, loving one another, seeing your guys' faces at all these events all the time is always super inspiring, definitely motivates me to work harder.
Thank you.
Sharon.
It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you, and congratulations. I think this is going to grow.
Yes.
You have the presence, the voice.
You're so easy to talk to. And
Yeah.
we want to be back.
Yeah, definitely. I super appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here. It was amazing talking to both of you. If you guys want to support House of LDLR, go to a bunch of dispensaries, but also your websites. And
Yes, that's houseofldlr.com. And
.com?
Our Instagram is House of LDLR.
And you could find our dickies and our boobies and all our other fun
Our
stuff.
cannabis champagne.
Cannabis champagne. Here's our famous ring. Gentlemen, this works, okay? Works, baby.
It's important to note that all of these products are... Oh, there goes the ring.
There goes the ring.
The first of their kind.
so this
cannabis.
is a ring that helps, you know what I'm talking about, performance. Guys,
Yes, I need to show this.
Women
I
probably
need
know
to
better
show this. I
the
need to
need
show
for it.
this because
It's for both of you. It gives women a sweet treat during the deal, and it's also, it applies pressure, and it's
the
good for the
first
gentleman.
time since the time of
Cholera.
color, since the
just
times of
kidding.
Mary Magdalene, we don't get anything for it.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
yes.
Nothing. Look, don't tell me that you too. I don't want to pass it through my Band-Aid because it's going to get. But look.
Yeah, in the package, it looks a little small. There's concerns.
It stretches.
But it stretches.
It
It's
stretches.
Just,
It's
but
stretches.
That ring, that one might intimidate somebody.
Well, yeah, but when you handed this to me, I was like, what is this for? I mean, this
But
is like a
look.
nipple ring? I mean, like, but yeah.
But look, it's coming back.
Anyway, you're a bunch of great products are in dispensaries. Definitely try them. They're lots of fun. They're great for education.
I'm
They
gonna have
taste
to
good.
eat
They're
it.
useful, and like lots of great, all sorts of great stuff. So definitely check out House of LDLR.
Sangre Latina.
Yes.
I created a space for gang members for the 13s. I created a space for them to come and to talk, to keep them away from the gangs.
And does that still exist? Can that still be supported?
It doesn't exist right now, but I know we're running out of time. But going back to House of LDLR being deeply rooted in social impact, when we first started our journey in cannabis, in the cannabis business, we were at home and we had just been running errands all day, and we come home and this boy, Ivan, was in our kitchen out of nowhere. And Ivan was one of the youngest. He was the baby of her group, of Sangre Latina. And he came to our house because he needed help. And he was like, where's Luce? I need to, maybe she can help me. So
After
that was the
20
beginning of
years.
this.
That's beautiful. So
He
when we
came
get
back.
this going, even better, we can get that all restarted.
Yeah, it was
will
a
get
reminder.
that is my point, because what I care is to make young people. That's my heart.
Young people,
Young people.
the youth.
They're
Beautiful.
the future.
Beautiful. Well, glad to meet you and you guys again. Glad to talk to you guys again. Always a joy to see you. Looking forward to you guys having you get back next time. Then we can discuss Exactly. This is next time.
That is a beautiful object of desire.
These are objects of desire.
Yes, they are.
Everything we do is about pleasure.
Yes.
We don't claim to cure, heal, and none of that. None of that. But we will make you happy.
Yes.
If happiness is a cure, you decide.
For the listeners, Taryn is holding a whip, a nice serpent leather whip with what is that, tassels?
Yes, with tassels.
With tassels, and before it was a large dildo made out of volcanic rock.
Yes.
Yes, and silver.
So are these products also on the House of LDLR website?
Yes, this is my previous business. We used to sell this.
Okay. So, yeah. So if folks want to find the cannabis stuff or some other stuff, check out House of LDLR. Thank you again for coming. We appreciate you guys. We'll definitely have you guys on again soon. It's a pleasure, as always.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.